I assume at some point there'll be a movie on Sean McVay because his hair is too good.
Who do you think would play Sean?
Right. I was trying to talk through this. I'm like, who would play him? Because you'd have to have like that perfect coif.
What about Chris Pratt? But I think Chris has got kind of the spiky, gelled haired look. And he's kind of jacked, and the energy, like Sean's got all that, crazy energy. Like Chris Pratt, I think might be a good Sean McVay.
What it is, what it do. This is Ramblin, your Rams podcast that brings you inside of the team and news from around the NFL. I'm your host and team reporter, Sarina Morales, coming at you from Los Angeles, California. We are weeks away from the NFL fully returning from break. Teams will report to training camp around the end of the month. So as we ease our way back into football, let's ease into conversation with my next guest. He's a friend of mine. He actually grew up a Rams fan. He is one talented individual, currently an ESPN sports betting analyst. You can find him on ESPN's Bets and the Daily Wager. When he's not in studio, find him on the green or cooking greens. He's an amazing cook. He brought his handicap down to 3 people. Tyler Fulghum, what's happening, my friend?
What is up, Sarina? That's maybe the nicest intro I've ever received. The handicap is not yet down to a 3. That's just the New Year's resolution I made.
You're at a 6?
Not that good yet, but we're working on it. I mean, I just don't want I'll be called a sandbagger then if I get into like a member guest or something. If people hear this and they think, oh, he's a 3. No, he's actually a 6.
Wow.
So
it's almost like we're like registering you on a 1 to 10 scale. Like, oh, he could be a 3. It's probably closer. All right, well, let's get to it. I
feel like a 3 today because I'm a little bit tired, but talking about the Rams, like you said, will get me jacked up. And I got my coffee with me.
Perfect. That's all we need these days. Tyler, we are getting the gang back together. There's lots to talk about the Rams actually making it to the Super Bowl this season, which is wonderful because I don't know if you were aware, SoFi Stadium is hosting Super Bowl 56. And after the Rams traded for Matthew Stafford, their Super Bowl odds improved greatly. Are you betting on this team to win the whole stinking thing?
I think they're worth a bet, and the Vegas market clearly indicates that the Rams are one of the favorites. I believe only the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC have shorter odds. And of course, they bring back everyone from last year's Super Bowl team that ironically enough won on their home turf. So the Rams trying to do what Brady and co did a season ago. But I think when you take a look at what Sean McVay has accomplished in his career with the Rams, he's won 67% of his regular season games. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been in the postseason 3 out of 4 years that he's been the head coach. All of that essentially in conjunction with Jared Goff as his quarterback. And I think that speaks to the caliber of quarterback that Jared Goff was and is. And of course, to the caliber of coach that Sean McVay is. But now you bring in Matthew Stafford, and as good as Goff was for the Rams, the overwhelming prevailing wisdom around NFL circles and media is that the Rams upgraded at the quarterback, most important position, I should say, on the field. So I know Matt Stafford didn't have a lot of team success in Detroit, but this dude is your favorite QB's favorite QB. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. He's my GOAT with the way that he is just so ruthlessly efficient and can make every throw in the game. And Aaron Rodgers, when you ask him to a man, he's like, and he played Matthew Stafford twice a year. And when Green Bay and Detroit matched up in the NFC North, it's like, man, when asked who his favorite quarterbacks to watch were, of course, Mahomes was mentioned. But he said the guy that doesn't get enough credit that I like to watch is Matthew Stafford. That dude is tough as nails. He can sling it from every angle. He's got every throw in the book. He makes fourth quarter comebacks. He's a man's man. He's a dude's dude. Like, your favorite QB, my favorite QB, Aaron Rodgers, my GOAT. His favorite QB is Matthew Stafford. Kyle Shanahan mentioned something similar when he was on the Flying Coach podcast with Peter Schrager and Sean McVay, saying, man, when we heard that Stafford was available and I really started looking at the tape, I was like blown away. Man, this guy doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. We know the toughness. We know all the throws. And I think when you couple McVay and what he's accomplished with Goff and now give him a quarterback who has the innate talent and ability of a Matthew Stafford, fits into the Rams culture, just a bro who loves to ball, just like Ramsey, just like Donald, just like Whitworth, just like Kupp, just like Woods. Like, he fits the culture there. So I think this team has all the talent and it has all the intangible things to be a legit Super Bowl threat. So if you want to wager on the Rams to be the Super Bowl champs at, shop around, get your best price. I see is anywhere from 12 to 1 to 14 to 1 to 15 to 1. I don't think you're wasting your money there because I think they got a real shot.
All right. Well, we like this so far. The Rams also have a really good shot at leading the league in passing yards, rushing, and receiving. Now, Stafford could be a really good sneaky pick for actually leading the league in passing yards. The odds on Akers leading the league in rushing, he's a top 5 overall. And as you mentioned, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, they're on that list for receiving yards. So is there one, we're going to gush all about the offense right now. Is there one that you're just like, yeah, I would put my bet on these guys?
I think the best bet is Stafford to lead the league in passing yards. When I looked on the DraftKings sports book, and they have some season-long props out, so you can wager whether or not a guy is going to go over or under a certain amount of passing yards this season. And I think the highest total is Patrick Mahomes, who has a total like 5,000. But the second highest total of any QB I've seen posted is Matthew Stafford at 4,700 yards. And so the market is telling you that they expect Stafford to, be almost as good as Patrick Mahomes. So a few breaks here, a few breaks there, Stafford, I think, is right there. And we know Sean McVay went into this offseason with the very specific idea and the very specific goal of making this offense more explosive. He wants to return to the 2017, 2018 days when you could rip off a 90-yard touchdown pass to Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. That just wasn't in the offense last year. Now you get a quarterback who's more aggressive, has a stronger arm. You add Tutu Atwell. You add Deshaun Jackson. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Sean is going to air it out this year. So I think that's why Stafford is kind of a decent play to lead the league in passing yards, because I think Sean wants to run up some passing yards this year after what happened last year.
Yeah, no, it'll be exciting. And it did help to see a guy like Cam Akers, get on the ground, because that kind of changed up the offense. That being said, yeah, I'm with you. It'd be exciting to see Matthew Stafford really get down there, especially because the offensive line is way better. And they're actually ranked this season in a top 10 for offensive line, even though there's a bunch of changes. But Whitworth looks healthier than ever. So it'll be excited to see that. On the defensive side of the ball, there were more significant changes. And yet one thing remains the same. The Rams have the best player, regardless of position. His name is Aaron Donald. He's the best. Number 99, get this, had 456 pressures across the past 5 seasons. That's 86 more than any other players in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. The Rams D-line is ranked 4th overall. Would you bet on them to get back to the number 1 defense this season?
Well, I don't know if I'd make that bet, because it's so hard to repeat as the actual number 1 overall. I think the Rams were first in points per game, yards per play, some very key metrics defensively last year. And that's probably going to be tough to replicate, because you lost John Johnson, you lost Troy Hill, Morgan Fox. I mean, there's some significantly good players. Yeah. And that is going to be sad. You lost Brandon Staley, who did such a great job calling the defense that he's a head coach now. So I think it's fair when you have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, your floor is a top 10 defense, but I don't think they're going to be the best defense, but I don't expect them to fall further than, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere in that top 10, as long as Aaron and Jalen are healthy. Some of those young guys now are going to get the opportunity to step in and fill in those roles. Guys like Terrell Burgess on the back end, guys like David Long as well. So I know these guys have promise. And I know why Les Snead and Sean McVay drafted them, and they've had the opportunity to learn behind some really good vets. And now they'll get their opportunity to step in. Raheem Morris is a very, very good defensive coordinator as well. So while I think there will be some natural regression, as we say in gambling and wagering, I still think the Rams will be good, because the GOAT anchors that defense. I just went to Dave Chappelle last night, and he's the GOAT of stand-up, and him and Aaron Donald operate on the same plane. It's just they're a different level of animal. They're a different level of alien compared to the rest of their peers. Like Joe Rogan and Tom Segura were sharing the stage with Dave Chappelle, and Chappelle's clearly better than them, as great as those two are. And Aaron Donald, any football field he's on with other greats, he's just better than everyone else. So very lucky and fortunate to watch him day in and day out.
It is quite exciting to cover the Rams with a man on the field. Overall, I know that the second I got the Rams reporting job, you hit me and you were like, Sarina, this is insane. I'm a lifelong Rams fan. This is so exciting. I get to follow you even more because I get to follow my team. It's the best of both worlds. So here is where you get to gush, because Rams fans, they listen to this podcast. As a lifelong Rams fan, what do you love most about this team since Sean McVay took over as head coach?
Well, I just love that they're competitive again. I mean, I was in St. Louis. That's where I was born and raised. So the Rams moved there in the mid-90s. To go back before that, before the St. Louis had a football team, my favorite team was the Philadelphia Eagles because I was such a Randall Cunningham fan back in the early 90s. And then finally, my hometown got a football team, and they struggled a little bit at first, but guys like Isaac Bruce made the season tickets that me and my dad had worth it. Then all of a sudden, we just saw the trailer for the underdog Kurt Warner story that hit social media. Kurt, Dick Vermeil, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Orlando Pace, everything, like a bolt of lightning comes together, and the greatest show on turf. Being in the, at the time, the TWA Dome, now the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis during the 99-01 seasons. And that offense that you just knew, you could not get up and go to the bathroom, Sarina, when those guys were on the field, because any play, Marshall could take it to the house. Torrey could take it to the house. Ike, Oz Hakeem, Ricky Prohl. I mean, Tony Horn as a kick returner was even like, a Pro Bowl caliber. And then the defense was good too. Like, you didn't want to get up when the defense was on the field because guys like London Fetcher, Kevin Carter, DeMarco Farr, Dre Bly, Dexter McCleon, these guys were playmakers on that side. And that's why that team was just so freaking good. I remember I cried a couple of times during the 99 season, Sarina. First was when we finally beat, and I say when the Rams finally beat the San Francisco 49ers. Isaac Bruce had 4 touchdown catches. I had never seen the Rams beat the Niners since they had moved to St. Louis. I cried during that game. I remember being up in the 453 section of the Edward Jones Dome when they won that game. And then, of course, the Super Bowl, when Mike Jones made that tackle. I cried. I was like 14, 15 years old. I cried tears of joy because it was the first championship I'd seen in St. Louis.
Right on that, like right on the line. It was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was exciting.
The tackle, baby.
Gave me goosebumps. And I did not grow up a Rams fan like you did. So it's exciting history. That makes me happy. And this also makes me happy. You mentioned it just a second ago. It's always a good sign when big productions want to make a movie about you. Lionsgate signed up for one. Rams Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. The movie is called American Underdog, the Kurt Warner story. It's about Kurt Warner, guys. Warner's played by actor Zachary Levi. You know him perhaps from the NBC series Chuck or the movie Shazam. It hits theaters in December. Now, Kurt deserves a movie. He has a great story. Right. Excited to see how this gets put together. I assume this is going to help boost some Rams fandom throughout, the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Like, we got a little extra.
I think there's some juice now. There's a little juice for the Rams franchise. The stadium is going to finally be a showcase for the franchise with fans now in there this year. The team is going to be good, playing a lot of primetime games. You're going to have the Kurt Warner story reminding us of that greatest show on turf. There was obviously a lot of struggles after that until Sean McVay got back and kind of restored that offensive brilliance. But yeah, I mean, I think if people aren't aware of that story and watch that movie, it may make them Rams fans, or it may introduce them to the Rams brand, so to speak. And then if they turn on Sunday Night Football in week 1 and watch Matt Stafford and Cam Akers and Sean McVay light up Sunday Night Football against the Chicago Bears, then I think you could get some young people as new Rams fans, because the Rams are certainly, I think, going to be an exciting brand of football team to watch this year, with that offense kind of being a focal point of having explosive plays again.
Yeah, and the Rams play on turf again, just FYI.
Yeah, and there's a lot of speed on that offense too. So I think there was like the greatest show on surf is like what they said back in the day when Sean McVay got the offense back, because now it's, you guys are on the beach out there living a life in LA, but the greatest show on surf, we got to think of some kind of cool nickname for this offense if they are, going to be Kansas City Chief level good this year.
Yeah. Submit your ideas to me and Tyler. And we'll I wonder, because I assume at some point there'll be a movie on Sean McVay because his hair is too good. But I don't know.
Who do you think would play Sean?
Right. I was trying to talk through this. I'm like, who would play him? Because you'd have to have like that perfect coif.
What about Chris Pratt? Chris Pratt is getting kind of jacked up now. And I think Chris may be a little bit taller than Sean, so may have to do some things with the camera. But I think Chris has got kind of the spiky, gelled haired look. And he's kind of jacked, and the energy, like Sean's got all that, crazy energy. Like Chris Pratt, I think might be a good Sean McVay. Ask Sean, say my buddy Tyler, who works for ESPN, does Daily Wager, huge Rams fan, wants to know if you like Chris Pratt playing you in the Sean McVay movie.
No problem. That's the first question I'll ask when we start training camp. Sean, real serious question here.
Yeah, important question here.
Good question. I like that. That's a good one.
J-Lo will play Sarina as the team reporter, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, this is too exciting. News from around the NFL. Or XFL, if you will. The league is planning to make its return in 2 years, 2023. I'm not necessarily surprised. It was said because they tried to make a run. They brought it back in 2020. We all know how that story went. The XFL canceled its 2020 season after 5 weeks of games, and it was put into bankruptcy proceedings by former owner Vince McMahon. Danny Garcia, fellow owners, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Redbird Capital Partners, they're behind this project. Tyler, do you think the XFL will finally get things going?
You know, as a St. Louisan, it was disappointing because one of the most ardent and fervent fan bases in the XL was the St. Louis Battlehawks. They had a good team. And, you know, the city was kind of starved for football again, professional football, because the Rams, you know, had moved back to Los Angeles. So that was disappointing for my hometown that the XFL didn't work out. So selfishly, I hope it does. Because for my city, I want to see football back there in some capacity. And I do think it, you know, would have been and could be a great avenue for development for the National Football League, a developmental league, you know, for guys who are, you know, don't necessarily get drafted, or maybe even guys who don't want to go to college. I know we can even get into the whole landscape of college football and athletics changing with the NIL stuff, name, image, and likeness. But I think the XFL could have succeeded and would have succeeded if, you know, circumstances had been different, as developing as a developmental league for the National Football League, a place where guys on practice squads can maybe go and further develop, or guys who didn't get drafted or from smaller schools or JUCO or whatever can maybe have a platform to show that they deserve a chance in the National Football League.
Oh, yeah. No, it'd be fun. And also anything that The Rock is behind, I think just kind of does well. Like, he's got tequila. He's got a bunch of he put some stuff out there. He's in Ballers. I mean, the Rams were
I kind of do think he could if he wanted to be president one day. I like The Rock. I feel like he's a dude who everyone likes, not really polarizing. Everyone just seems to love The Rock. And I think we could, you know, use a guy like that.
He's working the financial aspect now by putting, you know, some money into the XFL. And so from there,
exactly.
Wherever you want to go. The XFL. We're excited for that. All right. It's now time for my social segment. Want to have some fun with you. You work in sports gambling. You're a foodie. You follow the Rams. So prop bet time. Let's start with easy, simple ones. And then we get things going. First touchdown of the season. Who are we giving this to?
I'm going to say Bobby Trees.
Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, he's wearing number 2.
Yeah, I think Bobby Trees is going to have the first touchdown of the season against the Chicago Bears on a 12-yard pass from Matthew Stafford.
Oh, I like that. Okay, we're coming back to these, by the way. Like, I'm bringing back. He goes, I know, Sarina. I know you.
I can't wait to see you.
I like that. First interception of the season.
I mean, I'm going to go D-Will. D-Will. He's such a ball hawk. Yeah. Jalen doesn't get tested enough. You know, he'll be busy trying to lock up Allen Robinson. So I imagine whether it's Justin Fields or Andy Dalton in week 1, I think whoever's covering Darnell Mooney, the other corners, which will likely be D-Will. I think Darius Williams, who was the team's leader in interceptions last year, I think he's going to get the first one this year.
Yep. Jordan Fuller, I'm waiting for him to really have a big 2 interceptions against Tom Brady. Was the 199th pick in his draft. Tom Brady, 199th pick in his draft. So I don't know. I'm waiting for Fuller to get some extra love there. But that being said, over under, this is a weird one. 1.5. Sean McVay gets a Gatorade shower this season. He hasn't really had one.
I'm going to go unders only for this reason, okay? Only for this reason. A couple of things. One, I think Sean's going to have a business-like approach to this season, and even winning like the division or winning the conference is not going to solicit or warrant a Gatorade shower. I think Sean is going to make a mandate in the locker room that says the only time you guys are allowed to dump, you know, carbon or hydrated sugar water on my head is if we win the Super Bowl. We have the only ways I'll allow it is if we're back here in SoFi for Super Bowl 56, and then I will, you know, let's bask in the glory of orange Gatorade. And the other thing too is Sean's still young, so I saw Jimbo Fisher run away from a Gatorade shower in college football a year or two ago. And I think Sean, if he knows it's coming, will be able to juke and jive and get away from whoever's trying to pour that Gatorade on him.
These are good points. This is actually strong evidence that I can find this. Over under 3.5 Rampage is shown on the broadcast for Sunday Night Football against the Bears.
I'm gonna go under. I think the NBC broadcast can be more focused on showcasing SoFi and all the new bells and whistles for the fans there. So I don't think Rampage is gonna get much love on the broadcast. Maybe on the Jumbotron though.
Yeah, Jumbotron gets a lot of love. He's a favorite. I wanted to get a few recommendations from you now. Like, do you have any prop bets that you would like to add that we can then call you out on when I bring you back on the podcast?
Okay, so there's a few in terms of like the Rams to make the playoffs, the Rams to win the NFC West, the Rams total wins. It's 10.5, which is the highest in the NFC West, but Seattle and San Francisco also have win totals of 10. I do think over is the play. I think they're going to win at least 11 games this year, as long as, the principal guys, Stafford, Ramsey, and Donald are healthy. Sean has the fewest games, or the most games, he's lost in a season is 7. And that was a couple of years ago. If you lose 7 games this year, you're 10-7, because remember, we have 17 games now. But I don't think they're going to lose 7 games. Again, barring injury, I think this team is too darn good, even with how difficult the NFC West is. So I would go over 10.5 wins. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but that you have to lay a lot. The price on that is -200, which means you have to bet $2 to win $1. And I don't really like betting, more than I'm going to win. So even though I do think the Rams are going to make the playoffs, I wouldn't bet that. I would rather bet them to win the NFC West, a small, small unit wager on them to bet the NFC West at +180. Maybe you can get them at +200. But that way, for every $1 I bet, I get $1.80 or $2 back, because I do think they can win this division. And I think that's going to be a goal of Sean's to prove their supremacy in this division again, prove their supremacy in the conference, try and get a bye for the postseason and win a Super Bowl.
We love bye weeks in the NFL. Fun extra ones. They're tired. They need rest. Got a lot of vets on this team, even though Sean McVay does love above the neck practices, if you will. So I will wrap up with say what. I recently spoke to second-year tight end Bryson Hopkins about cars. He loves cars. They make him happy. He loves them. The guy loves cars. And I was like, okay, so what's one thing you always have in your car? And I will play you his answer. Here's what he said.
Chapstick.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I lose them all the time. I don't have them in the house ever, but I know there's one in my car. There's one in my car somewhere. So I always have chapstick in there. Yeah.
Chapstick. So Tyler, what say you? You drive pretty often, every day, in very hot Las Vegas weather. What is one thing that you, my friend, have to have in your car?
Well, I couldn't have chapstick like Bryson, otherwise it would melt because of the 115-degree heat in Las Vegas. I don't have a lot in my car, sadly. Masks, because of the pandemic, are often in my car. But my golf clubs. If there's anything that is in my car most, it's my golf clubs. I golf 2, 3, 4 times a week. Usually got to get out in the morning right now because it's so hot, but I got to have my sticks with me and got to be able to hit the links at a moment's notice. So golf clubs for me, which do not melt in the 115-degree heat of Las Vegas.
You actually, when I worked at ESPN, I was in Bristol and I had golf clubs in my car and I had to take them out because it got so cold. So it's better to have them in Vegas trunk than in a cold weather environment trunk. That being said, I am hoping to help you throw out the vibes that you get a handicap of 3 by the end of the year. Right?
Thank you.
Hoping for?
You know what? I'll trade. If the Rams win the Super Bowl, I'll forego my New Year's resolution wish of getting down to a 3. I'll settle for getting down to a 5, Sarina. If that trade-off means that the Rams win the Super Bowl this year.
Here to hear first. Sacrifices must be made, and he is okay with it. Another episode of Ramblin' in the books. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for joining us. No bloodshed here. Now that SoFi Stadium is ready for full capacity, you need to be ready and snag some tickets for 2021. You can do that at therams.com/tickets. It will be the hottest ticket in town. Maybe not 115, but it's going to be hot. Best you believe it. Again, thank you for your time. We'll see you at SoFi Stadium this season. More Ramblin' coming your way for training camp. In the meantime, stay safe and healthy, my friends.